following night, he heard something from outside his window, some whispering.
There have been a few times where I've heard whispers outside of my bedroom door. Like at night I'd be in my room and I'd hear like what it sounds like to be a conversation right outside my door, or like whispering, like I can never make out words that the things are saying.
Now, a few months ago, I shared this clip of Father Winston with you about one particular stupid thing a seminarian did out of curiosity to see whether it worked.
I had a case of a seminarian who wanted to have powers. So he went to the internet, how to develop psychic powers. And there were instructions on the internet how to do it. So what he did was copy it, and then at 12 midnight, went in front of the mirror, read the instructions, and touched his forehead several times while reading the instructions and what to say.
And the reason I brought it up, that clip of Father Winston, which I'm going to share in this video again, is because it kind of related to our case study this time. Here's a young woman experiencing demonic attacks and infestations at home, the kind exorcists frequently describe. She blames her father but overlooks the primary reason it all began. She engaged with demons herself.
Familial, which means that it is either passed down when he passes away to me and my sister, or it's already affecting us. I don't really know. I'd have to talk to my mom's medium friend again more about that, but she did say it was a demonic presence. Other than that, I've only ever had one other experience recently. I was in my room. I was like in my planner, like writing things down, and I automatically just got a whiff of cigarette smoke, which I'm not a cigarette smoker. My dad's not a cigarette smoker, and we were the only two in this house. I even went downstairs and I was like, Dad, did you just light a candle or something? And he was like, no. But yeah, it just like hit me for like probably 10 seconds and then it went away. Like I didn't light anything. I don't know, I didn't even light sage or anything, so I don't know what that was. My mom's dad, who I didn't know very well, like he passed away when I was maybe 5. He was a big cigarette smoker, and my mom says that sometimes she gets whiffs of cigarette smoke, so maybe that was my grandpa. I really kind of want to play the Ouija board again, which is kind of crazy considering that everything that I just told you happened after playing with the board, and since those things scared me, why would I want to play it again? But I know that the board does that to you. It makes you want to play more, and I just what's the harm in playing one more time, you know? I don't know if I ever will play with it again. I had another session with my mom's medium friend, Reiki healer friend, so I did talk to 2 mediums back to back, day after day. There is a very, very haunted cemetery. It's supposedly the most haunted cemetery in the United States and definitely the most haunted in Illinois. And it's about an hour from me, and I really want to go visit it.
I'll share the longer version of that audio in a moment, and I don't think she's Catholic or even Christian for that matter. But as this channel is catered for Catholics and Christians in general, I always want to include important lessons or reminders shared by the priests with you here.
If you're leading a good Catholic life, going to Mass on a regular basis, going to confession, saying your prayers, following the church's laws, etc., and you're not committing mortal sin, your odds of getting diabolically influenced are pretty slim. That one of the elements that is missing from modern Catholic life, that even if they're leading a generally good Catholic life, the one element that's missing is discipline, spiritual discipline. They're not getting up on a regular basis, saying their prayers on a consistent time. They're not following a regimen. They're not doing certain things. And so and they're not, fasting on regular intervals and things like that. And so as a result of that lack of discipline, that it seems to be the thing that the demons keep getting their foot in the door on. So if people become very disciplined in their spiritual life, if they lead a very disciplined life, then they're simply not going to have this problem.
And then there's this one from Monsignor Rossetti.
All of us are tempted by demons and the evil one to commit sin, sort of, jabbering in our ear. And of course, the good angels, our guardian angel especially, is encouraging us with God's grace to do good. Of course, we have our own free will, and ultimately our choices are our own. But the evil one can tempt us And sometimes his influence is even a bit more powerful. He can harass us and sometimes even seriously try to block us from doing good or maybe even going to Mass, for example. We've noticed this especially in our ministry of exorcism with those who are possessed or severely oppressed. Sometimes there's a powerful demonic force that almost makes it impossible for them even to step foot in the church.
Before I share clips from other priests for our lessons and reflection, let's continue with the case study. I must say this kind of ignorance isn't unique to her. It's sadly common among many young people today. And remember, if you're sensitive to these topics, please skip this video. You already know the kind of content and approach I take on this channel. If it's not for you, please skip this instead of leaving hateful comments or sending nasty emails afterward.
Currently, I live at my dad's house, primarily. So another little thing about my dad's, ever since he's lived here, my sister and I have felt strange about the house, just kind of weird, scared at night, but just weird about my dad's house. Like, we're like, something has to be here. We're both afraid of the attic door that is right in between our bedroom doors, outside of it. We're afraid of the basement. The basement here isn't finished. It's like kind of creepy. I don't like basements in general. My sister and I have always joked about there being something in the basement or in the attic. I've lived back home since May, when I graduated, and nothing really has happened until about a month ago. One night I got a text from my boyfriend asking a bunch of stuff about Ouija boards. He knows I'm knowledgeable about it, so I was like interested in why he was asking me all these things about Ouija boards. And so I was like, why do you ask? And he was like, my sister wants to play one. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, we're gonna play one tonight. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me know how it goes, whatever. So the next day after that, I actually went over to his house and I was like, how was the Ouija board? He's like, we didn't actually play it. And I was like, why not? And he's like, well, we didn't have a board. We were gonna make one, but then we decided not to. And I was like, oh, okay. A little bit later, his sister comes into the room and she was like, Ashley, do you want to play the Ouija board? And I was like, yeah, I'd be down. And she's like, I went to Walmart and I couldn't find one. And I was like, oh, well, they have them at Barnes & Noble. And she was like, seriously? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I'm gonna go get one. And we were like, okay. And so she went and she got one, and then she came back with the Ouija board. And then later that night, we went into their basement and we played with it. His sister also very much so believes in stuff like this. She was afraid of the Ouija board. And whereas my boyfriend Alex was just kind of like, if it moves, it moves. Like, I don't know, you know, he didn't really believe like 100%, but he still wanted to play it. We played 3 separate sessions, one with her being the I don't know if you'd call it a medium or if it's just like the contactor, because if you don't know, when you're playing a Ouija board, you should have one person designated to speak to it, because if too many people are talking, it can get like confusing for the thing trying to speak to you. So she started, and then I was the second one in the second session, and then Alex was the last one. And so we talked to 3 different spirits, and then the last one, a person named came through. We asked him how he passed away. And then I was watching, because this is already just suspicious behavior going back and forth between 2 letters. So he started to go back to M, and halfway through I was like, Alex, no, say goodbye. And so he went to goodbye. I explained that usually when they go between 2 letters repeatedly, they're doing something shifty, trying to open a portal, trying to do something. I don't know, but it could have been harmless, but to me, I just got a weird vibe from it. I wanted to say goodbye, so we did, and then we didn't play again. A little bit, like a few days later, my sister came home from college for her winter break, and I explained to her about the Ouija board session that we had, and she said, I want to play with the Ouija board. And I was like, oh, I could probably have Alex bring it over here sometime. And she was like, yeah, could you? And so a few days later, Alex came over here to my dad's, and he brought over the Ouija board. I wanted to play again, just to see like if it would work here as well. Halfway through like the night, before we had even like brought up touching the board, I kind of got this weird feeling that like I shouldn't play with it here. So I just never brought it up, and we didn't play the board here. So then when we went to go to bed, it was in my room, but I took it out and I set it right here against this couch. So like literally right where I'm sitting, it was here overnight. We woke up the next morning, Alex took it, he went home. So the next night I went to go stream. I was streaming, and then I end stream around like 1 to like 3 in the morning, and my dog sleeps with me every night in my room at the foot of my bed. That night, I told her bedtime, I opened up my bedroom door, and then I left the light on in my room, so she was laying at the foot of my bed. I was in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, and the door was shut. And outside of the door, I heard like crinkling or like footsteps or something. I wasn't sure. And since my sister was home, I figured maybe she was trying to either get in or like walking into the hall. So I opened the door. So I peeked out at the bathroom, and nothing was there. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So I left the door open then, just in case my sister was coming out of her room and like wanted to get into the bathroom. And then I heard the crinkling noise again. And then I kind of looked, because the bathroom's here and then my room's back here. So I kind of looked back at my room. I see my dog run out of my room with her tail between her legs and her head down, looking very scared. But my cat, Lilith, she loves to open up drawers. So I figured it was Lilith opening my drawer. I walked into my room to see if Lilith was there, but she wasn't there. And the weird thing is that my water bottle from my nightstand, so it's about 4 feet away from my door, was now right where my dog was laying at the foot of my bed. So my water bottle had miraculously come from my nightstand where it was standing up and was now laying 4 or 5 feet away from my nightstand and right where my dog was. And my cat wasn't in there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know why. Yeah, it was definitely freaky, and I wish I had videos for you guys, but I don't know. I just was so like caught off guard. Like I wasn't thinking of anything paranormal. I wasn't thinking of anything happening, and then just that happened, like the crinkling, and then I don't know. I don't know exactly how long after this was, but I think it was maybe that same week, so maybe like 3-4 days after that incident. Once again, I was streaming around 2-3 in the morning. I went to the bathroom to get face washed. So I looked in the mirror, and in front of my bedroom door, like maybe like a foot in front of it, staring at me, was a figure. And it was this tall, black, slender figure with super, super long arms. The only thing that I can like give you is like the body shape of Slender Man, but it wasn't. It was just a figure with long arms. It was just standing there staring at me, and then it was gone. The second I gasped, the second I realized it was there, it was gone. And I kind of like looked and I freaked out. To me, it's interesting. I know some people see shadow people for way long periods of time. Like my sister, she sees them for minutes at a time. The only like few times I've seen a shadow person, they're there for a second and then they're gone. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. There've been a few times where I've heard whispers outside of my bedroom door. Like at night I'd be in my room and I'd hear like what it sounds like to be a conversation right outside my door, or like whispering, like I can never make out words that the things are saying. My sister, when she was home for the month, last month, she told me that she heard what it sounded like to be a conversation coming from right outside her bedroom door. That's happened a few times. I have had 3 different people tell me that my dad has a curse on him. If it was one person, I would take them seriously, but since it's 3 separate people, you better believe I'm gonna believe them. The figure that I'm seeing here and everything that's happening here is because of this curse that my dad has. Like my mom's medium friend told me that I have a gift to see bad things that are here. She told me if I wanted to, I could probably see the one figure that is with my dad, either in front of him or behind him, like at all times, if I wanted to. I don't think I want to. There is one prominent demonic figure that is attached to my dad because of this curse, and she believes that that is what I saw in the hallway that night. and also probably what threw water bottles at my dog. My sister and I want to try to figure out if we can break the curse somehow, but that's hard because we don't know the person who put the curse on my dad.
Now let's relate what she did and went through to this case shared by Father Winston. Listen closely.
What makes people use it? The desire for power, the desire to be special. The spirit of divination comes in to a person who is very curious in having powers. I had a case of a seminarian who wanted to have powers. So he went to the internet, how to develop psychic powers. And there were instructions on the internet how to do it. So what he did was copy it, and then at 12 midnight, went in front of the mirror, read the instructions, and touched his forehead several times while reading the instructions and what to say. Then he waited. Nothing happened. The following night, he heard something from outside his window, some whispering.
There have been a few times where I've heard whispers outside of my bedroom door. Like at night I'd be in my room and I'd hear like what it sounds like to be a conversation right outside my door, or like whispering, like I can never make out words that the things are saying.
So he did not mind it. The following night, the voices became nearer. And he got irritated. He thought that seminarians were whispering, but there was no one. On the third night, he heard again talking, this time just outside his window. So he became irritated. On the fifth night, the whisperings were by his bedside. There's nothing there. On the sixth night, the whisperings were already by his ear. On the seventh night was already the word. He could hear talking clearly. Then he started to see spirits inside the seminary. And he became afraid. So when he told me the story, I wanted to get a bat. Why did you do it? And his answer was, I wanted to have powers. Ritual. The occult forces in divination is always diabolical, whether you know it or not. And the Catholic Church tells us clearly that all forms of divination are to be rejected, including the phenomena of clairvoyance or occult third eye, because there is a desire to have power. And perhaps some of you, including the sisters, sorry to say, and even some priests would want to have the power to see, because they thought that if they have this clairvoyance, they can feel more closer to God and that they can pray better. The desire to see, or perhaps the desire to heal, thinking that they would be better Christians if they are able to help people by healing. But this contradicts the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone.
And based on what she shared, I also suspect her third eye has been opened. That's just my personal opinion, but you'll see why I believe that to be the case after listening to the following clip.
Typical manifestations during the exorcism of the spirit of divination: difficulty of breathing, difficulty of seeing, difficulty praying, headache, neck ache, stomach ache, the feeling of crawling insects, especially on the extremities of the limbs, eyes turning red, sensation of being strangled, stinging sensation in the eyes, piercing feeling in the parts of the body, and depending on how well developed and open is the third eye, other senses may also experience discomfort. Hearing noises or voices, images in the imagination, ghastly apparitions, sense of helplessness, sadness, despair, anger, hatred, fear, horror. In some cases, during the anointing with holy oil, the afflicted might scream as in terrible pain. In cases where the afflicted has listened to demonic voices and instructions, the use of blessed bells or the sanctus bells will cause strong reactions. In cases where the sense of taste is involved in demonic bondage, the use of blessed salt will cause a reaction. In cases of discomfort, the following can be used. The water and blessed salt should be given. The use of sacramentals can be applied to the part of the body experiencing discomfort. Exorcised blessed oil should be applied to a body part that experiences pain, discomfort, or some form of physical oppression. Under no condition should sacramentals be removed from a person if the person, under influence of evil spirits, requests that they be taken away as they produce pain, burning sensation, heaviness. So when you're praying over a person, assisting a priest in the closing of the occult third eye, and the victim says, "Father, remove that, remove it, it's painful, remove your hand, remove the cross, remove this." No, you should not remove it. You should all the more gently apply it. Why? Because it means those sacramentals are attacking the spirit's concern, the spirit of divination. How long before complete closing and healing of the occult third eye? When all spiritual openings have been closed and the demon is truly expelled, significant relief is experienced as early as the fourth night, with peaceful sleep and no longer seeing spirits or hearing voices or being harassed physically or psychically. Why fourth night? Because the spirit will try to return. And therefore the person must be fully spiritually protected so that the spirit will not return. The spirit will attempt to return or harass the afflicted. Thus, prayer and use of the sacramentals are necessary. After the fourth night, significant improvement would be experienced, and Christian life must be marked with sincere devotion to God in the Eucharist, daily prayer, regular confession at least every 15 days, practice of virtue, devotion to our Blessed Mother, especially in her rosary, the Divine Mercy devotion, and wearing of proper sacramentals. Avoid any occasion, remote or proximate, that may trigger temptation to open it, like reading of occult literature or touching occult objects or talking to occult practitioners.
And the final clip I'll share with you in this video covers the difficulties people face when trying to close the third eye. Listen closely.
What are the difficulties in closing of the third eye? How deep, and these are the questions, how deep is the bondage is related to the number of years of practice and type of use. Whether it has come through a familial spirit from ancestors, and whether there are other spirits attached to the person. It's easier to close the third eye of children. They have not used it. But if they have used it several times, then it becomes difficult. Whether there are other occult openings involved, unholy seals, consecrations, vows, tax, sacrifices, and offerings made, and whether the repentance and renunciation to break ties with the demon and the power are sincere. Remember the dentist? The renouncement must be sincere. Because if it's not sincere, the demon will not leave. Whether there is sincerity to change life, amend life, and grow in relationship with the Lord. And whether there is someone in the household that has an open third eye or practices occult. We had a case of a woman who had her third eye closed, but it's not closing. Why? Because the husband has a third eye too. So they sleep together, and the spirit of the third eye of the husband is opening that of the wife. In another case, there is the household, they had their third eye closed, but the yaya has a third eye open. So someone in the household has a third eye open. If you're going to close, you have to close the whole family, including the yaya, because you live in the same house. Then, whether the house is infested or there are infested objects or cursed objects in the house. What are cursed objects in the house? You may have idols, you may have things that came from the cemetery. You try to look if there are infested objects in the house, because that too would prevent the closing. Whether the person is curious to know whether the ability is gone or not, and therefore attempts to use it. And this one, we see this from teenagers. They have closed their third eye. They asked us to close the third eye. They wanted to be sure that their third eye is closed. They go to a haunted house. Let us see if it's really closed. I used to see spirits here. Dangerous. Because they wanted, out of curiosity, to test it. In the case of children or those mentally incapacitated, whether the parents or guardians are also under some spirit or with spiritual openings. And this one we have seen. We had a young boy who had opened third eye and chakras, and we were doing the exorcism for 1 year and it would not close. And we were wondering why it would not close, until one day the mother, who always accompanies the boy, told us, "Father, it's been 1 year now since you were praying over the boy. Do you think we should bring him now to the witch doctor that opened his chakras?" Then we realized that the mother all this time never surrendered to God. She was always thinking, if this will not work, we will go back to the witch doctor. So we told the mother, if you would do that, of course you can do and bring the child back to the witch doctor, but you will never bring him back to us. Because it showed that you did not have. And the mother cried, and she went home. She went to her church, confessed her sins, begged the Lord for mercy, and really consecrated herself to the Lord. When she went home that very day, the boy was already healed. The mother eventually surrendered herself to God.
That will be all for our lesson this time, and I hope all of you have learned so much from this one. And I always look forward to any discussions we might have in the comments below, so please feel free to share what you think of the lessons shared this time. And if you like what we do, and you'd like to support what we do, there's a link to PayPal in the description box below, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contributions, and prayers. Until the next time, thanks again for watching, much love, and may God bless all of you.